Caribbean girl, me no petite, me no petite. Hey, chilling with the buzz.
Hi, I'm Ashlee Hippolyte, and I'm the host of Flavors Frights, where we explore the human experience in the world through fear and food. I basically have gone about this so that I can just have people tell me scary stories. So I'm excited because we have Cece, who is a good friend of mine. We're highlighting the country of Jamaica.
That's a bop, 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 bop.
So we'll start off with a brief bio and then we'll get into it. So Cece is a Jamaican Canadian athlete who in 2019 became the first openly trans woman to win a NCAA title. Also, the author of Make It Count, a memoir about her fight to be the first transgender Olympic runner. That's a bio where she has incredible accolades and she is so talented. I know her from just, another Caribbean sister where we're able to wine go down,
Yep.
able to do all the craziness that we often do, eat good food together. And I'm so excited to have you. Did I miss anything in your bio?
I think you pretty much touched like right on par on topic of everything. So yeah, CC Telfer, athlete, author, and advocate, model,
Here.
Jackie of all trades, representing for all and everybody. Bop, bop, bop.
I feel like in this crazy time with this horrible administration, I feel like I felt a lot of solace in you and I spending time together and eating good food together.
Yes.
Cece tried some pepper pot.
Say too, like it's such a beautiful thing that you're in such a crazy time that is going on with all the chaos. You found a way to put some fun into it, but still like talk about like interesting and topical things, you know?
Yes, of course. And I love horror. So talking about
I don't.
any scary story, supernatural things, it's my obsession. So this is the best and most fun way to do it is to actually have conversations with people who have experienced it. So, okay. So to start us off, since we're highlighting Jamaica, can you
But
tell us where in Jamaica you grew up and a little bit about your background and connection to the country?
yeah, you don't know. Black, yellow, and gold representing for the 121. Um, I grew up in St. Thomas and Kingston, Jamaica, and a lot of represent bop. That's what a lot of Jamaicans say when you're hyping things up, or you say bop bop or ra ra ra. Pull up selector. Right, that's so. I grew up in both of these places. St. Thomas is known as the countryside. That's where the
Mhm.
rough of the rough people, deep pot water can come from, bread and butter. Yeah. Kingston is more like the jujube, the debutante version. Like,
Mhm.
that's the capital, what
Mhm.
them call.
Had both experiences.
I would say, yeah, I had both experiences. But it's funny, fun fact, because St. Thomas is where a lot of stories come from, because it's the countryside. Countryside is where a lot of like the scary stories come out of, the folklore, and like
The bush.
the bush, the rich history and culture of the country comes from a lot of the countrysides. And
Got
St. Thomas is just one of them.
So we're gonna be hearing a little bit more is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
So you're such a captivating storyteller. So tell me a little bit about what storytelling meant to you and your family and your community growing up.
Storytelling was very important, especially growing up. It's a way to keep the culture alive. It's a way to, teach little kids their history,
Mhm.
and how they incorporate storytelling is by reenacting it and incorporating it in very like specific, like holidays.
Mhm.
Where they would showcase like different forms of cultural uh stamp highlights throughout history, like Marcus Garvey, Nani of the Maroon, when Jamaica got their independence, what Jamaica was like before the independence, how the people were treated. So how they really teach our history was to reenact and like, get drama and acting and dancing and singing is a huge part of Jamaican culture, and that's how we incorporate all of that into like a big production, and that's how we put on our history, and it's very beautiful, very beautiful poems. Yeah, Jamaica is just so rich
Mhm.
with history, and that's how they show their culture is true entertainment and performance.
And I think with a lot of Caribbean cultures, we always, use oral tradition, like passing things down through storytelling as a way to keep our history alive, to your point. And so I always feel like I hear about the family drama when we're like around the table and all these stories start coming
Oh
up. And
my
I'm like,
God.
oh,
Yeah.
there's a secret child. Oh,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
uncomfortable,
And
you
when they
know?
have
But
like the little like Jamaican like when they say don't show stone on glass houses. That's
all the same.
proverb.
Yeah, the proverb. Yep.
Oh my God, yes. And then they have the scary stories where we're scared to pick them were like ancient history, ancient folk, like ancient, like, oh my God, like
Yeah,
that's a part of the history too, because we need to know. And
exactly.
I it didn't occur to me until you asked me to be a part of this show and like, like, are there any scary stories or legends from Jamaica? I was like, I didn't really think about it until you mentioned it, and it was so easy. It
Yeah,
was like boom, right back into that moment. But yeah, like when family are in town from abroad or like we just huddle back at like, around the table, we're having big family dinners, that's when everything come out.
yeah.
And I love that. But then again, I'm not trying to sleep alone. Which cousins is trying to sleep in my bed tonight?
Well, that's always what I say because every time we would break out and everyone would be telling their own scary stories, no one wanted to go to the bathroom alone.
No,
No one wanted to do anything.
because it was so real.
Yeah. So, next question is how would you describe Jamaican culture to someone who doesn't know about it or who hasn't experienced it firsthand?
That's a good question. How do I describe Jamaican culture to somebody who's never experienced it? Or
Yeah.
damn. Okay, I would definitely describe Jamaica to somebody who's never like been to Jamaica or experienced Jamaican culture as definitely what it sounds like, the steel pan, which is a Trinity thing, not a Jamaican thing. Um
Happy you said it
very
because I was about to say it. Happy you
Mhm.
said it.
And it's very like vibing, island breeze, cool, like not it's very much that if you're not LGBTQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very much the best life to live. Like
Yeah.
the coolest, most chillest, most fiery, most like yo, even people in poverty will make something out of nothing and they can like I've lived in poverty in Jamaica and lived in the best lifestyle in Jamaica and like these people make it just look so worthwhile and like make life worth living. And it's so
Mm.
beautiful to be a part of that. But if you're LGBTQ, good luck.
Yep.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. And we're gonna get to that because I feel like that's a really interesting conversation and it's a duality that we have to experience of, okay, I can't show up as my truest self, but this is the culture that aligns with my identity the best, right? Like your
Absolutely.
upbringing, the way that you've developed, the way that you take in music
Yes.
and everything is through the lens of being Caribbean. But how do you grapple
Exactly.
with being
And thank you for saying that. I just want to add
Yeah.
that Jamaica, the food, the culture is very rich. The food is
Mhm.
delicious. The beaches, the ocean, like the vibe that you're getting that people like show, that is exactly what Jamaica is. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Jamaican, because it really is that. Like,
I wanna get a little scared. What was your first experience with the supernatural?
I would say that my first experience with the supernatural was when my grandfather died in 2001, and I went to his funeral. I think he died in 2000, but his funeral was in 2001 because it was on the cusp of like the last of the month, the last of the year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
January going into the December going into January. And I was a little girl, a young buck. And I remember it so vividly because we came back from the funeral and I was in the room and I needed to pee and it was in the middle of the night and my grandfather's outline was right standing at the blood clot middle of the door. And I was so terrified that the pee just went right back up and just stayed there until the sun came up in the morning and he was standing right there because we were sleeping in his room. My mom, his daughter, like she was sleeping in his bed and I was like, yeah, there was like my bed was there was two beds in the room and I had my own bed at the time. But when I saw that outline, I was so terrified. I was so it was like I was kind of like possessed. Like I couldn't move my body and I was just like looking at him and I closed my eyes and like pretended like he wasn't there and I tried to like turn around. I just couldn't do anything because I tried to pretend like I didn't see the shadow or anything. It was so And we just had his funeral, and like that's normal. It is very normal for the spirit to come back to the home or like check on the family or like to even be at the funeral.
How many days after?
It was the night after the funeral, like when we buried my grandfather and like everybody went back. We had like a gathering, whatever, and we went back home and we went night night, whatever, good night. I saw
That
his
is.
spirit came back. It was terrifying.
I wanted to follow up because in like Hindu Trinidadian culture, the spirit will rise like maybe 3 days after, I think, after they pass. 3 days, they'll come back looking.
Yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
because
They just realize that they passed away. That's the
you know the
belief.
funeral is like a couple days later. Like,
Exactly. That's what I'm
like 5
thinking. Like,
days.
was he coming back home
Yeah.
because he just realized he.
So yeah,
That is really
Shit.
scary.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
That the fact that your story connected with my story and it made sense because I'm like, because they didn't realize that they passed.
Yep. What are some superstitions that you believed in growing up? Because I know something that Cece did that really scared me was you told me if Gigi, my dog that's over in the corner, is looking at you with her paws crossed, that you may have cancer. So you can imagine my fear when my dog was looking at me with paws crossed. So along those lines, can you share some of the superstitions?
Yeah. I feel like that also applies to like like Jamaican roots, like
Mhm.
because you know everybody classifies Jamaica as a third world country, and a lot of third world countries, a lot of supernatural things happen that wouldn't normally happen in the first or second world country. So I feel like that's where that stems.
Mm-hmm.
But like, don't get it twisted; those can still apply, I guess, anywhere. But something else that I've like heard and experienced from other families that are close to my family is that like you never point at a grave. There was this kid in the country, like deep in the country when we went back, and he pointed at a grave and he lost a finger. Yeah, apparently. I don't know if that's the story like his family made up, but like that was like a very known thing in Jamaica not to do. And you never spit at a grave, you never point at a grave, and you respect, you show respect every time you walk because you never know who that person is or what a person was. So that kid lost his finger. We never point at a grave. Mm-mm. No ma'am, no ham, no chicken, no turkey. Yeah. There's the rolling calf, which I've had an experience with. And then there's the Riverside mermaid, blood clots. I've had an experience with that. It's just like,
Okay, what are those two things?
so the rolling calf is Cliff Notes version is basically like a butcher who, butchered like cows and he was not a nice person. And when he died, the spirit came back as a cow, and it haunts people during the night. Like when you hear the chains that he used to like tie around the cows' necks and like tie them up with and stuff like that, when he like inhumanely killed them, you would hear the like late at night during dark roads that you're not supposed to go down is when you can hear the ruffling of the chains or the chains pulling. That's when the rolling calf is coming, and he's coming for you. And usually he blocks off your path. So what if your friend lives up a hill and people usually don't go up and down that hill at nighttime, and your mom tell you not to do that shit, but like your mom was out of town and you happen to be up there and you know you're supposed to get home, you're like, no, I got it, it never happens. And you hear that chain, you need to go the fuck back to that house. Yeah. That's the rolling calf. And another thing is that the eyes glow up. When you hear the change, the eyes glow up. And I feel like during my grandfather's 9 nights, his house in the countryside, it's set up where he's the last house at the end of the lane. And that usually signifies like somebody who's very significant, a part of the community. Like their house is like they have like the biggest house, the best house of the lane. They might not be the richest, but they're the most respected in the community. His house was the last house and the first house of the lane. So at the back of his house was a mountain. It was just like land of mountains. Like it was like unclaimed land. Like you can go hiking at the back of his house, and usually people do that. Um, and his 9 nights is what they call it in Jamaica, where they celebrate life and stuff like that, and like the dead passing, and they invite everybody, and everybody from abroad comes to visit. There's a door that leads to the back door, and The kids stupidly, like we've heard about this story and stuff like that, and obviously a lot of Jamaican kids heard about the scary stories. So at night, the kids, my cousins and I, we went to the back door. We opened the back door, and we just looked out, and it was just like boom, darkness, just pure dark. So boom, nothing. You can't see nothing. You just step out, you step down on the step, you just go whoom. You might just go whoom right down into nothing. Like it was just so dark. And we were just like, it looked so peaceful, but at the same time so scary, and then we just see two glowing eyes.
Oh no.
It was it. We were done. We were done. We closed that door so fast, and we ran to the front of the house where everybody was.
That's the difference between American children and Jamaican children, because y'all close that.
We're not exploring shit. We are running to where everybody is. We're done. We're not going anywhere.
As you would be at this age.
Right.
Done.
What? And then, so the mermaid story now is when I was like 12 going to 13, and my family, we go back and forth from Jamaica and Canada. Like that's Caribbean thing to like, bring your kids back to the motherland here now and then. And I happened to go down to the river by myself because I wanted to go to the river so bad, and everybody was so busy. The kids in the neighborhood, I don't know what they were doing, but it's either they were just busy and I wanted to go. So I went by myself and nobody went with me. So I went for a little bit. I was getting cold, it was getting chilly, and I was like, something inside of me was telling, go back home. Like, don't go. So I was like, let me take my black ass back home because something is telling me to get the fuck out. And then all of a sudden, I see this lady in the water. And I was like, nope, I'm not, I was at the river by myself. Nobody was there. Didn't hear anybody come down. It's very easy to hear people come down. They make noises. You know what I mean?
What did she look like?
She was like dark skin colored. Like she had long hair. I didn't look for too long because I knew the stipulations, and I really felt like, I'm not gonna be that kid to be caught by the mermaid. So I'm gonna be like, I was told when I was told the story, when you go down to the river and there's mermaids at the specific river. So it was like a thing. But she doesn't show herself until it's like, like hurricane season, or like, you know what I mean? Like the water is like, it's not that clear for you to see her, and she doesn't show herself unless it's like, some odd reason, right? I immediately was like, not about that life. And I was not trying to be a victim of mermaids. So I got my ass up that hill, and the one thing they tell you is to not look back. Don't ever look back and don't interrupt her. So I didn't want to go be like, hey, hi, woman, who are you? Nope, don't do that. And then when you're on your way back to where you came from, don't look back. And it was a path. It was a rocky path up a hill, through the bushes a little bit to get back until you can see the road. It's like a good 2 or 3 minutes before you can see the road, which is another minute or two to get to the road, to get back to civilization. And I felt like something was following me, and I couldn't look behind. I was so scared for my life. When Natalie said that's the day I became a runner, a track star. Yeah, she's a runner, she's a track star. Was the day that I was like, don't look back, but keep the fuck out moving. I felt like she was behind me. I literally felt like somebody was breathing on my neck. It was terrifying. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she had said to me like she was so beautiful. I wanted to see her so bad, but I knew.
Wow.
And my cousin experienced the same thing. Yeah, at the same river. Yep.
Damn. I feel like every Caribbean culture also has their mermaids or experiences, so that is fascinating.
Because they said that that's where the Caribbean is where mermaids go to like, like to not procreate, but like to like become more beautiful. Like that's where they like that's where they
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
they're from, right? That's like where they originate, basically. Isn't like
Interesting. I've never heard that. So, can you share a scary story that you heard of growing up that still gives you chills?
Yes. So a scary story that still gives me chills even to this day is literally, um, it's always in the countryside. Like I never really experienced anything in Kingston that was like scary because Kingston's very busy. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the history and a lot of slavery times and like witchcraft and all that stuff happens in the countryside. A lot of like voodoo things happen in the countryside, like from people from the country. I mean, other Jamaicans can like differ or disagree. The ones that like, maybe like
That's your experience.
right.
So,
This is my
disclaimer,
thank
Cece's
you.
experience.
This is
If
my
you have a
experience.
problem with it.
So like as a kid, just like living in the country and like when nighttime coming, you don't have no light but the street light and the light that's in your house, and there's the a freaking hill behind you. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the hills, like, you know what I mean? And you never so one thing that they tell you is like when a kid passes on um in the in the neighborhood or in the lane, they linger and it comes back to your 3-day thing. Like they don't realize that they passed away, so they like come around. And there's this particular spirit that was not a good person, and when they passed on, like they were buried like close by, and their spirit like antagonizes anybody that passes their house on the lane. Now my family have multiple houses in the countryside. Like we have one in St. Thomas, and then we have one in another section of the country. And like that section is like where Batan Brook will grow up, like hardcore, like patois to the point that you can't even understand what they're saying. Like, yeah. And then they have a lane where that kid lives. And at night, it's known not to pass his house because crazy things might happen. People end up like sick. People end up hurt during the day. People end up with like uh 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 marks across their face. And I just remembered one night just having something going on in the area, like we were celebrating something because Jamaicans always are celebrating something. And as kids we were walking back, and my older cousins like try to like run past the house and like leave me. So when I couldn't see them anymore, I was terrified. My ass turned the fuck around and went back to the house that I came from because I couldn't see my cousins anymore, and I didn't know what the fuck to do, and I didn't want to be scared, and I was young at the time. So that kid, that that house that we were supposed to pass, I swear I literally saw him going back to the house that I was coming from. And I don't know if I bounced him, I don't know, because he was not my cousins. I was with two people, nobody else was in the lane. Nobody else was there besides me and my two cousins that was supposed to go back to the house that we're coming from the party. And so I'm going back to the party because I couldn't see my cousins, and there he was. Like just
Did he
chilling
look at
outside.
you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like he came over to me and like tried to walk me back to the house. But your girl's a runner, so I was gone. Like I was not trying to stick around. Story still haunts me to this day because I'm like, rest in peace to that kid, but he's not happy and his soul will forever linger in that lane.
So he wasn't looking out for you to walk you back. He was
Probably trying to walk me to the depths of my demise or despise or the end.
once again, that's why you're a runner.
Yes. Run away from it. Run.
So what are your takes on Obeah and other kind of traditional spiritual practices?
Yeah, especially growing up Jamaican, voodoo is seen as something that's negative, that's bad, that is our Obeah. Maybe voodoo is seen as something else, but Obeah is what we called voodoo, and it was seen as bad practice, bad spiritual practice, and black magic. And anybody who does, be careful of them doing voodoo because our Obeah on you, because like you can end up being like unalive or like sick really bad, or if they cast something on you, it's just like bad black witchcraft, right? And then now I've actually learned that it's not supposed to be bad. It was just colonized to be something that is negative and bad because it's.
I think a lot of people are confronting that. Is it? Like what does
And then
what
it
does it
sounds kind of scary too, so it has this like negative connotation to it. But come to find out, no, it's the white man that made it that way, that gave off this negative connotation and like stigma towards this very religious practices that was done by black people and indigenous people, you know what I mean? And just because they couldn't understand it or they couldn't grasp or be a part of this, they chose to demonize it. It's so sad,
Yep.
you know? But even Jamaica, uh, I don't know if voodoo is Obeah, but Obeah is seen as something that is black magic, and it's
Hmm.
not good.
Yeah, and I think I'd have to look this up, but I think voodoo and hoodoo, like voodoo is the more negative practice. Hoodoo is, a, a type of religion that people follow as a way to do different rituals to improve their lives. So I definitely feel like there's more to that conversation. Like it isn't wholly negative like we've always been taught to
Right.
believe.
Well, see, the mermaid too is also like good and bad. Like that's a like she doesn't want to be bothered and like, you know, that's just I think is a protective thing. I don't know, but it's not always a bad thing. Like
Hmm.
it's a good symbol that like the Caribbean, Jamaica is like a place where like a mystical creature can retreat and be like they obviously know that they are protected or they're they're comfortable there, you know what I mean?
I like that
And
perspective.
right. And I know that during Carnival there's a time where there's these characters that are very significant in the community. Um Big Belly Woman, which signifies like, women who are naturally uh goddesses or naturally mystical creatures because they can conceive and have kids, and
Mhm.
women who can do those things are obviously like, they're more valued, and like it's just overall like that's what the big belly woman represent. And then like you have kumina. Kumina is uh folklore like practice where it coincides with I think Obeah,
Yeah.
where they do the dances to like, it's like you can do like a sun dance or like a rain dance or their spiritual dance.
Mhm.
You can do like a cry of like slavery or like that's like a symbol of like when you start to do kuminal, you get the spirit, you get into the spirit faster, you connect to the ancestors faster. Another thing during carnival is that like all of these uh characters or folklore characters, they go around to people's house, like whatever's going on, however far the carnival is, even if it's from St. Thomas to Kingston, they go to like these people, these spirits go to the doors or homes of like peoples, and like you're supposed to have like certain shrinings on your door to prevent them from like it's like I think it's mimicking like the same Christianity,
Oh, yep.
mark the X of the blood and like the spirit
Mhm.
goes around and doesn't, you know what I mean? But these were like different characters of like during the carnival, and people like to put the face on and like pretend, be a part of, and it gets really scary too, like as a kid, like witnessing the different spirits during carnival. Like I get a little scared because in Jamaica it goes beyond the two piece, right?
Mhm.
Like it gets more historical and it
Yeah.
gets more in depth, and like as a kid watching that, like people getting into character, it's kind of scary to like watch that sometimes, but it's beautiful to know the history and see how it coincides with like Christianity and like, who's right and who's wrong.
Mhm.
We were taught this, but then this is what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
So
And what people fail to understand about carnival, right, is that its origins were in enslaved people making fun of the plantation owners, the masters, and really making fun of their practices and finding a way to have like solace and community with one another. So I'm
that
like,
part.
everyone likes to wind up and enjoy the music, but there's deeper meaning to that practice that I think is often forgotten. Being part of the LGBTQ community and Jamaican can be complicated. I know it is for me. So how do you grapple with that
Uh,
chin?
I definitely try to reiterate the fact that like not only being trans like is we're adding to like the diversity of society, but like being trans and being an athlete and still being able to, you know, be a positive member of society and being like Jamaican, which is a very hetero strict society, just shows that we're adding to the vast richness of that society, right? Because
Yep.
we're a different kind of people and like we're not the norm. And for you not to embrace us just shows that like we are a threat for no reason. Like you're creating a threat. You are creating a threat instead of embracing us and just loving us because we're good and positive people. So, but in Jamaica, it's never been heard to have trans people. Like I think that they're still struggling with gay and lesbians. And
Yeah.
like now that like actually now that I'm thinking about it, like trans women in Jamaica is I feel like it goes unrecognized, but I think we might be more prominent. Feel definitely like that's even probably where transness was originated without people even knowing it. Like in Jamaica, because like finding Millie Black
Yeah.
or like seeing like the gully and like I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, like the Jamaican dancehall queens probably comes from transgender women.
Sure it does.
Right. And
Sure
like
it does.
they don't even know that they're because you in order to be trans in Jamaican, you have to be unclockable.
Yeah.
Like, unclockable, and if you are clockable, bitch, like, just know that your time is very close. Jamaican people don't play when it comes to LGBTQ. Like, you need to be unclockable, seamless as ever, and, like, I really do feel like yeah, I really do feel like transgender women really come from Jamaica, like, that's where it's just because Jamaica is a very female-orientated, um when I say female are like the women there are strong. And people don't know that Nani of the Maroon is what led those people to freedom and like out of the arms of the colonizer is a Black woman.
Wow.
Yeah, Nani of the Maroon. She was a part of the Maroon Pack and she gave Jamaican people liberation. And that's why Jamaican women are so strong and so dominating. It's because she is who bred us. And I feel like she might have been trans. Who knows? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of I look like her. Like she, you know what I mean? And it takes this conversation to like really even like have that epiphany that like, oh my God, like, transgender people might be like came from Jamaica.
Yeah. And I always think when I think of Jamaica, I think of it as such a cultural capital. Like the way that the culture is exported and so many Canadian artists and UK artists use Jamaican lingo and slang, and has such a huge cultural footprint.
Germany,
Yeah,
like, oh, they love
but also think of trans culture and that being such a trend starter to so many folks. Every trend that we have, I feel like on TikTok originated from trans folks. Like it is so thinking of
fashion.
that overlay of like Jamaican culture and then trans culture, I'm like, yeah, definitely. It was the origin of everything for sure. This is something that I think about to this day. Like for one, I grew up on like old school reggae music and dance hall. And some of my favorite songs, when I see the lyrics, I'm like, oh shit, I was dancing to that. I was singing to that. I didn't really know the homophobia that was in those lyrics and those songs. And I still feel like there isn't space to talk. Like, I still appreciate it. Like, I see some queer people on TikTok still jamming to it and being like, I don't care. This is my jam, but like, I'm going to own this song and I'm going to still reclaim it. So how do you deal with that? Since you know patois, you know exactly what they're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like that is so controversial because it's like, would we still listen to R. Kelly's song?
No, it's accurate.
Right, clock that T. But it's like, we're Caribbean, so it's like, don't even bring us into R. Kelly's business because that's a white man shit. Like, we don't do that here in Jamaica and Trinidad, like, and Barbados.
Barbados.
Cuba is the Caribbeans too, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a part of the culture, because it like winding up and like just gyrating and grinding originated from Jamaican culture, and it's like people took it and sexualized it when it was just like, it was just like just showing a form of beauty and embracing music and just dancing a man to a woman and a woman to a man. That's definitely what it it's a part of, but when you listen to the lyrics, it's just that's the culture. But when you see a queer couple or a lesbian or like a gay or like uh a transgender woman and a cis man together and they're listening to those lyrics that like belittle them or like, you know, discriminate against them, it almost for Caribbean people it doesn't matter because it's a culture, it's the vibe, it's what we grew up with. But it's like now that we're listening to it, it's like it's like a nostalgic. It's put us back into like we almost forget about it. You know what I mean? Until like
As we talk
our
about
friends bring it up.
Buju, we talk about every vibes, right?
Right.
And even when I like it, I hear man to man, like that's wrong or whatever. I'm just like, okay,
right.
why you have to say that?
Right.
Why are you obsessed with that?
I'm like
that's so annoying.
and then sometimes too, like at this point, I'm like, you could have mute that part out.
Like you didn't have to. The song was great without. But so, how do you find ways to reclaim your Jamaican identity?
There's not one way to be Jamaican, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like a different version.
Yeah.
And if anybody know it's Jamaicans and they know how creative and diverse and how much couth we have as Jamaican people. So they shouldn't be blood clot surprised when them see one woman like me walk up in the party. Yeah, right, that's Jamaica, the land home and free. Like, yeah, we breed the best and the biggest and the baddest. We are the stallions of society. So when them see somebody like Nino come into society, they should expect it because I'm Jamaican. Jamaican people breed stallions, Amazonians. Caribbean people breed bodies, Amazonians.
Yeah. I love that reclaiming. That's perfect.
It's true. Look at Rihanna, Bad Gal Riri.
Yeah.
Look at Nicki Minaj. Some of the most pivotal people in society are Caribbean people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the athletes. Don't get me started.
True. How do you see any hope for Caribbean culture becoming more inclusive? Like my hope is in like us first gen, like people that are born in other places, and also there's a lot of activism that's happening in the islands.
I think that like they've adapted to gay and lesbian people, and now it's just like adapting to trans people and non-binary people as well. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So they're going through the same things that Americans are going through. Like it's because it's easier for lesbian people and gay people to blend into society, right? So they're more adapted to that. But when it comes to non-binary and trans people, when we live authentically our lives and ourselves, it's a little bit harder for people to swallow, you know what I mean? Because of our loudness, our boldness, and our existence, which people should know out of anybody, Caribbean people should know what it's like to be loud and bold and, you know, like you can't hide that. You can't hide what we have. So to go back to that, like it's gonna take time, you know, it's gonna take time. But I feel like as though for lesbian and gay people, like they've adapted. And as Caribbean people, one thing that we're good at is adapting to our surroundings, especially when we need to, as soon as we need to, and especially when it comes to survival reasons too.
Yeah. Great. Moving on to our favorite item, which is food. Ooh. What dish do you need to have when you're feeling like homesick or you want to feel closer to Jamaican culture? Like what do you cook or what do you order?
Curry goat and rice. I love curry goat and rice. And like to make sure say, me know how to cook it myself because I like to watch what goes into my body, but also authentic Jamaican. Like I try to make all my dishes go to as authentic and Jamaican as possible. And like curry goat and rice. Curry goat is just.
So you don't know how to make curry goat yet?
No, I know how to make curry goat. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
The best curry goat in the world.
You?
And if you
when are you gonna make it?
Spicy, you don't like pepper, don't come over here because it's hot. Hot it up.
Okay, so when is that happening?
You know, tomorrow.
Okay, beautiful. I know what I'm eating this week.
What's your favorite dish to make? Or
not to make.
What you make?
I'm learning the Trini dishes. Well, it depends. Like I always think certain family members that I have, they know how to make a certain dish the best. So when I think of pilau, I think of my grandmother. She used to make the best pilau, and we would go and for Boston Carnival, she would make a huge pot, and pilau with beef was so good. And obviously, I feel like I have to say like a nice roti with squash and with pumpkin and bodhi and all the good things. Like I love if you give me a roti and just curry chicken and none of the sides, I'm like, are you even Caribbean?
But that part.
Because I need all the sides.
Each-
That's what and doubles, of course, is
Doubles
delicious.
100%.
What's a drink that you like a Jamaican drink?
I would say that my Jamaican drink go-to would be I love a good coconut water, but that's
Mhm.
so like universal and so like
But out of the coconut, it's
so different experience. But I like sorrel.
Oh,
Sorrel is
okay.
really good. And the thing that is very closely related to sorrel is Jamaica, which
Mhm.
is so our hibiscus.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Water is like those are the two things that remind me of sorrel. And it's
Mhm.
like it's so good. You just add a little ginger and you're good. Or if you want like alcoholic drink, a nice red stripe. But the thing is you have to drink red stripe in Jamaica. But when you drink red stripe outside of Jamaica, like in the United States, it don't it's so fake. I'm like, this was not
doesn't hit.
manufactured in Jamaica, even though it said it was.
Okay, well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for doing this. And so follow-up conversation I'm gonna have with Cece is we're gonna be in the kitchen and Cece's gonna teach us how to make a Jamaican dish.
Yeah,
in real time.
it might be cargo if you're lucky. So, you don't know, say CC tells from the 01212, yeah, Jamaica, Canada, and beyond. Athlete, star, body, whatever you make it be, I am her. Yeah, you know, tune into live with Ashlee and spice it up and taste of the Caribbean.
Okay, until next time.
Bye.